Good morning, everybody. This is Paula Ward, aka Tutu Fit Mama, come here from an undisclosed location somewhere with my special guest today. And what we decided to do is, obviously, this is Sports Mom Guest Star Week. You're my guest star today.
Thank you.
And we decided to go to the beginning where all this started, and it was Peter's coach. This is Darren McGann. And we met about 2 years ago now, right?
It's 2 years ago
now. And Peter, it was his first time playing AAU, and we were having trouble with, dealing with not being the best player now and how to deal with that and how to basically become a better player and work at it. So I thought one thing that happened with us is we had a good relationship, and I basically didn't talk to him for weeks. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to be like, well, you need to play my son, or I feel this, or I feel that. But for me, it was more, how do I help him? Because I'm somebody that researches everybody and has to understand it. So finally, after one game, I got up the nerve and I said to Darren, how do I help my son become a better player? Because at that point in my mind, it was like, well, he's got to be a better player, and that's what will make the difference. So for you today, I wanted to ask you what you thought us as parents can do to really help their kids become better baseball players.
Okay. I love how you started this by, I guess, working up the nerve to approach me. Right? Is that we had discussed, even before we get on this, is that I hadn't thought of that. Actually, I had thought of it, but I didn't write it down in my notes. If you can establish that relationship with that coach, very important. And maybe in terms of, how do I make my son better?
Right.
Or versus, how come you're not playing my son? Or how come my son's not here or there? But it's more of taking an ownership, taking it upon yourself to making your son better, or just into some guidelines. And I think it's a great way to start with a coach. Feel it out first, like you did, because not every coach is approachable. Right. Not every coach is approachable. So I think the way that you started, the way you approached me, and the relationship we've had over the last 2 years, and how I've watched Peter improve as a baseball player because of the steps that you took, which were very simple. I don't want to say calculated, but they were the right way to do it. How do I make my son better? Help me out. Because eventually, and I'm 100% confident that if you take those steps, you take that advice from that coach, you will see that your son or daughter play more and more and more innings. Mm-hmm. So I did write down some other things. I don't know if you want me to go into detail.
Go ahead.
I know we've got just a couple minutes
here. A few minutes here.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is, and you don't see enough of it, is playing catch at home. Mm-hmm. Right? And that is, it's just not catch. It's in the mirror. It is getting involved with your son or daughter's likes. And if they really want to improve, because for me, one of the biggest messages, and I don't know if you hear me say it, is that they become their own coach. That they know what they can and cannot do is very important. And if they can figure out early in their athletic career, or just their life, what they can and cannot do, and they want to work at it, they become their own coach and they improve on it. And then they ask you to be a part of it. Right? I love that. But they may not always ask. But if you show them that you want to be a part of that, whether you can play catch or not, that's not the theme here.
So I have to find kids to do that, and I bought a net because at some point it gets dangerous playing catch with your son, as you know.
Absolutely. With Peter, I know. Those are going to see this, understand that. But it's just not playing catch. They can use a mirror, mm-hmm. right, and see their form, and it's repetition. It's over and over. It's mental. It's visual, and I'll get into that a little bit later. It's using the tee that you described, because a lot of the pro baseball players, college baseball players, they use a tee. Parents and kids look, oh, it's a tee, it's right there. You can work on your form. You can swing through it. You can take a look at it, because there's consistency there. It's an extremely valuable tool. I've watched my small sample of boys over the last few years improve because of it. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned before, so they become their own coach. It's very important to me that when I ask the question, what could we have done differently there? And they respond with, higher heel. I could have extended through. That is telling me that they're growing as, in my world, ball players, but more or less as mature young adults. that they see it.
And that was one thing that we noticed because we used a lot of video, and he got excited to watch those videos, and he would analyze them, and the two of them would have like, there's boxes where you can write in the dialogue, and he would be like, could I do this? Should I have done that? And it was very helpful to use video and to be able to see that, because obviously he's not at my house every day. I don't have that much money. So the video
I
was
cheap. I do. I come cheap.
The video was very helpful.
Yeah, the videos, we did a lot more of that last year than we did this year. We did, one or two this year? I literally did 6 per kid last year, times 13. It was a lot of analysis. And I don't have video written down, but very great point is, again, they get to see themselves, and you can tell them all day long what they're doing. And until they see it themselves, look, we're guilty of that too, right? We have to see it ourselves. Until they see it themselves, I don't know how they'll act on it. The video, and more importantly, I provided comments initially. I don't know if you recall this. I provided comments initially on that video. And then as we went along the process with other videos, I asked them, I would send them the video or you the video, and I asked for their comments back.
Right.
I wanted them to tell me what they could be doing.
Right.
So, next thing. This is the theme here, baseball IQ. Is here in the Northeast specifically, we have a very limited baseball season. Actually, this could be a whole nother blog about how kids are getting specialized in sports and how it isn't good. But sports are becoming year-round in each sport for each kid. A little dangerous, and specifically in the Northeast, and that is we are limited to cage time or indoor time, in which we have a small 70 by 14 foot cage, and they pitch and they catch and they hit, but they don't learn how to play the game in there. So, and I've noticed this with my own son, who plays sports. My other one doesn't. Is that he doesn't watch a lot of games. He loves to play, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball. He loves to play, but watching it on TV, unless it's the playoffs, or unless he's got some sort of fantasy team involved with it, he doesn't want to watch it. And what we're noticing this year at our 12U team, these kids are learning how to play the game. Their baseball IQ is being established. They know how to play. They know where to be. They know what to do during the pitch, before the pitch, during the pitch, and after the ball is hit. And they know what to do with the ball once the play is potentially done, because there's a play after the play. That's baseball IQ. It's knowing what to do, not just how to hit, not just how to field and throw, but how to play the game.
And what we're finding in our town team is that it's now carrying over from AAU into our town games, and that the kids that are becoming leaders on the town team, because they're so used to doing it in AAU, and it's becoming automatic, and it's carrying over to the other kids.
The theme I use is, I want to sit on this bucket.
We got him a shirt.
I should have worn that shirt. I want to sit on the bucket. And oh, by the way, shut me up. And the only way to shut me up is to do it right. And I think what we've starting to see more and more is that they're starting to do it right. And I couldn't be more proud of at least the group that we have right now.
And Darren Moore on the bucket.
And Darren Moore on the bucket. It's got a nice pad on the top. It's nice. And then another point is obviously respect. But it's beyond just respect for the parents and the coach, but it's your teammates, right? Support. It's the support for your teammates. If you notice that someone's having a hard time, help them up. If they're having a great time, support them, right? Good and bad. Be there good and bad. And the important thing and it's tough, I'm guilty of this, is try not to speak badly of what's going on in front of your player, your son or daughter. I'm guilty of that. You learn from your mistakes, but have them, no matter what the situation is, try to make the best of it. Be, yes. And if they don't understand something, have them ask, but don't have them ask in a disrespectful way. Sure. Respect's so important here. Everybody knows that's watching this right now knows that. I've got 2 more points, and the next one is the mind. They're all talented. They can all run. They can all field. They can all hit. They can all hit at different levels. They can all play any sport at different levels. I really, honestly, and my dad, when I was young, I was listening, and I proved to him the other day I was listening when I told him what we did at the bridge, and I won't go into it here. And I almost heard him crying on the other side because I did listen. Did I incorporate it into my life? Well, at 48, I did, right? But it is believing in yourself, because it's mind over matter. It's if you can penetrate that area of your mind and find that sanctuary, and then be able to talk to, and just cut out all the minutia that's going on. That's a coach like me, screaming or yelling. Though I don't do that, or a parent on the sideline. Just cut it out and find that sanctuary. And in this case, Sunday, it was the river. I go, find this place. The more often you find this place, the better off you'll be, not only in sports but in life. And I think that what will get your son or daughter to another level is if they can just find it and then merge the two, their ability with just the belief in themselves, right?
And I think that was huge too, because when we were at the game on Sunday, we were talking to Mike Bryant, who that was the biggest thing he said to Peter was that, this isn't about baseball, this is about up here and believing in yourself. And Peter looks at me and goes, like Darren tells me all the time. So, he is listening, and it was funny how just everything kind of came together, and he was just like, and it is the belief is so different this year.
Mike's got a little bit more credibility than me. I don't have a son that's an MVP of Major League Baseball.
Hey, so. But and as I told him, I said, this is why you go and you talk to people, because you don't know who you're going to meet in life, but you listen, because everybody gives you a little key on how to change your life, and you never know what little inspiration is really going to change the course of your life. Right,
absolutely. And then my last point, and this is the biggest thing for me, is obviously supporting of your child, of your player, of your son or daughter, but supporting them in the right way. Don't tell them they are the greatest thing since sliced bread when they're not. Why? Because then they'll believe it. They won't work any harder. And then they'll go to their team or in the life going, my mom and dad, who I'm supposing are they're the biggest icons in their lives at that point in time, are just told me I'm the best. And are you doing them a favor by doing that? Right. Ask yourself as a parent, are you doing yourself a favor? Or can you approach it in another way and supporting them in becoming the best thing since sliced bread? And that is being honest in that supportive way, and that perhaps they get out where we started, on the tee, hitting into the net, looking in the mirror in their form, looking at videos, watching games, and then becoming the closest thing that they can become to being better than sliced bread. Just be honest with them. And I think today, as parents, we want, look, any generation, we want to nurture and love, but I think it's really, really something that we see that's maybe too much. We just need to be more honest with them, so that they work harder.
Right. And I think that I've noticed that his whole worth ethic has been different because of that. I think if he had gone into that game being the best player on the team, we wouldn't have the same kid that has developed over this year, and even because he had to work for it, and because of that perceived failure. Right. I'm cool with failure because I think you learn from that.
Fantastic.
And and I think for him, he's going to be a better person, and we're talking about being a better leader because of having to work for it and put in the work to get what he wants in life.
Right. Yeah, it's about that leadership. I expect at the end of this season, I'm hoping to have 14 future leaders, right? 14 future leaders that listen, take in, digest, and then regurgitate what it is that they've heard in a positive way and become those leaders that we hope that they become. That's the goal.
Yep. Well, this is awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm sorry I didn't get to answer questions. I was intrigued. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this helps you sports parents out there. Help develop your kids just to be better overall sports people, and even just kids. I mean, half the time I was in one of my vlogs earlier, I said, we're winging it and we're hoping they come out to be the kids we want them to be. And this was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also as a parent, know that there are not all coaches like this out there, and that, you're paying these people to help your kids. And if you are not happy with the outcome, you find somebody else, because it does not have to be negative. You don't have to be screamed at and yelled at. And if you're not getting the best coaching up for your kids, you can go elsewhere. There's tons of people out there. Right. And to really, think about what's going on in the game and the team and everything else. And what's happened with our team over the past 2 or 3 years is really, and I talked about us becoming like a community and developing a team culture that like people are modeling, which is huge.
We are a classroom. The field, the pitch, the court, name the event. It is a classroom. And the biggest compliment we received this weekend is we had a team on the other side that we played last year. They didn't come to the game with